पुरख निरंजन हर पुरख निरंजन हर अगमा अगम अपारा सब त्याग है तुम जी हर सचे सृजनहारा सब जी तुम्हारे जी तुम जिया का दातारा हर त्याग हो संतो जी सब दुख विसारणहारा हर आपे ठाकुर हर आपे सेवक जी क्या नानक जंत विचारा तू घट घट अंतर सर्व निरंतर जी हर एक पुरख समाना एक दाते एक भिखारी जी सब तेरे छोड़ बनाना तुम आपे दाता आपे भुगता जी हूँ खुद बिन अवर न जाना तू पार ब्रह्म बेअंत जी तेरे क्या गुण आप बखाना जो सैभ है तुझ जी जन नानक तिन कुर्बाना हर त्याग है तुझ जी से चंद जुग में सुखवासी से मुक्त पाए जन हर त्याया जी तिन कुटी जम की फांसी जन निरपौ जन हर निरपौ त्याया जी तिन का पो सब वासी जिन से व्या मेरा हर जी ते हर रूप समासी से तन जन हर त्याया जी जन नानक तिन बजासी तेरी भगत पंडार जी परे बेअंता तेरे भगत सलाहन तुझ जी हर अनेक अनंता तेरी अनेक करह हर पूजा जी तप तप जपे बेअंता तेरे अनेक पढ़ह को सिमरत शास्त्र जी कर क्रिया खट करम ग्रंथा से भगत भले जन नानक जी जो पावे मेरे हर भगवंता तू आदि पुरख अपरंपर करता जी तुझ जेवड़ अवन कोई तू जुग जुग एको सदा तू एको जी तू नह जल करता सोई तुद आपे पावे सोई वरता जी तू आपे कर सोई तुद आपे सृष्टि सब पाई जी तुद आपे सिरज सब होई जन नानक गुण गावे करते के जी जो सब सका जानो
If you would, feel free to join me in breathing. Take 2 or 3 very full, intentful breaths to connect. That's all it takes. Remember, it's not difficult to plug into soul. You are soul. The fact that you are hearing my voice in this music, being in this room, is soul. It's not a gazillion light years away, and we can only reach it if we're good and lucky. And we connect just like that. And you feel it. Hello, Angela. Hello, Dana. Shell. Brad. John. Greg. Ronnie. Tammy. Hello, folks. Give it another minute or two for people to collect. It gives me time to fall in and kind of get into my space. Again, feel free to join me in falling into space. Falling into space. Hello, Frank. Hello, Angie. Things are moving in the world. Can you see them? Things are moving inside of you. Can you feel them? And is there a difference between the two? Keep in mind, we're talking about something that's eternal. So it's everywhere. So I say that what's moving in the world is the same exact thing that is moving in you, and vice versa. Actually, vice versa is more true. What's moving in you is moving in the world. And we're talking about this on a collective level. They are the same. Hello, Danny. Deep fish. So tonight, I'd like to talk to you about what is the meaning of it all. If God handed you a mission, what would that be? What would that look like? God said, God, source, divine, creator, Jesus, Buddha. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's irrelevant. Let's grow. Let's mature a little bit in our spirituality and get out of the labels. We're seeking that which is beyond labels, right? I am seeking something that is infinite, eternal, everlasting, forever. Hello, Bob, Gaynell, Lewis. All souls are one. All souls come from you. All saints meditate on God. So God is really not its name anyway. Though the image does invoke the idea of the highest authority, whatever your name is, that's what God is. There is no form that God does not bear. There is no name that does not belong to him, her, it. Bob says, yeah, bud, I'm going to have to catch the video later. All good, my friend. You take care now. Justin Jordan. So what is the meaning of it all? Meaning of life. The meaning of your life. If God handed you a mission, what do you think that would be? What would that look like? If you would, take this time, since we're here, to hang out for a while. I'll be here about an hour. Close your eyes and ask God, self, if I had a mission that was handed directly to me from you, which you do, anyway, but let's play with it. What would that be? And wait for an answer to come. Source, creator, higher self, Jesus, Buddha, all that is good. What is my mission? Hope you received an answer. If you would, feel free to share this presentation to your wall. Also go to youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. Please subscribe to my page. It's helping my work to become more and more visible. I'm in the process of working on a new book, Radical Transformation, thanks to you, allowing me to do these live feeds to hang out with you. After about 8 videos, I realized I channeled an entire book that's in the works. Also, I have a very blessed opportunity before me to be picked up by a major worldwide book publishing company. Working on that as well. So keep me in your thoughts about that. Help me see that vision through. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Steve. So when I do these Burst of Light live, and I mention that I'm going into vessel mode or channel mode, it never comes from a space of I'm doing something extraordinary, and as if I'm contacting something that is great and powerful. I use this model for everyone to help see and understand it's truly a plugging in consciously to something that we already are. So when I speak about Yanava, my soul name, it doesn't mean, ooh, Keith is able to tap into his soul, watch him just move out the way and it happens, and showboating. It's never that. It's a way of depicting to you the process that I go through as I begin that tapping in dynamic. I want you to see what it looks like as I do it, as an example. Okay, so this feels like Keith, the everyday open-eyed Keith that walks around and thinks he has this cool life on earth, right? That's how we all think about ourselves. This is me. Now start showing intention, devotion, sincerity, allowance of all that to reside in me, as opposed to what it's like to be me in my normal, everyday, waking human life. So I take breaths to help me relax. And if relax is the vehicle that helps me to begin to open up the Stargate, to be able to become conscious of my soul to a greater capacity, then the same applies to you. Everyone has been equally given the same grace and the same favor. So this is just my dance, my ceremony, my way of bringing it all into my experience. That's why I do this. And this, when I tell you I'm about to go into vessel mode and that I feel like I am being draped by my soul, it does feel that way. But the reason I announce it that way is because you can likely see that when I say I'm going into vessel mode, my energy will begin to change. My energy will begin to morph. I'm already doing it, actually. But later, when I officially do it, the dialogue comes out different. It's, even though it's still the English language, it is a different intelligence altogether. Hello, Seastone. Hello, Jim. Excuse me. So when I say I begin to allow my soul to speak through me, it's not some major, big, huge feat that I'm able to do and you are not able to do. No. I exemplify it by showing you my process. First, you have to intend. I intend to talk to my maker. And then logic says, well, you do that by breathing. Breath is life. Life is God. God breathed life into man. Makes sense to me when I breathe consciously and deliberately and intentfully and sincerely and passionately. Put that on your sandwich as your spiritual manna, your sustenance. And you take that in. You ingest that. And doors inside of you begin to open. No matter your religious denomination or whether it's of a spiritual path, as they call it, none of that matters. That's all irrelevant. Many of you probably feel this magical space that I'm talking about, where you're in fervent prayer, praying for change in the world. You feel that space coming to you. And the truth of it, the space does not really come into you, nor does it really drape you. It is you. It's you at a deeper level that consciously, through set intention, through the breathing, and through just simply wanting it, it steps to the fore, or actually we begin to be able to see it and feel it, and it becomes palpable. Right? So the title of this broadcast is, what does it all mean? If God handed you a mission, what do you think that would be? What does that mean for each of you? Each and every person has their own meaning about it all, about life, about why we're here, why you're here. Is there one meaning that we collectively share? We all have our own, but is there one that we collectively share? If so, it's probably in the soul where we connect in the sameness of what we would collectively agree is meaning. And to bring that about on the earth, or heaven on earth rather, we must all tap into it. As I've demonstrated for the last 10 minutes about how one can begin to go inside and connect consciously. We're already connected. You unplug from the source, you go out just like a light unplugged from the wall. It's impossible. Let me see who's here and also some of the comments that might be coming in. And I'm going to do some reading here shortly from my bestseller, The Divine Principle. And also I'm going to read something toward the end from this holy man behind me, Bhagavan Sri 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 Sathya Sai Baba. Hi Charmaine, hi Sue, hello everyone. Jordan says, big mission I'm working on. Facebook love right up the top, bro. Bob says, I'm currently learning to let go of all my prison-making opinions. It is just that, bro. I am so happy that someone else, no matter who you are, is able to see that. That by simple thought, unconscious thought, we keep ourselves locked in a jail. How can we ever expect soul or the light or our own creator, whatever name we choose to call the creator, no matter what deity you follow, how do we ever expect to have that step to the fore like the soul exercise I did a few minutes ago? To bring that forth if we're locked in the mind. We're so choked up in our consciousness because of the things we are not even aware that we're thinking. You do this kind of work, couple, 3 months, you will see stuff that will overwhelm you. You'll say, oh my dear God, has this been moving around in me since God knows how many years? And you will see it clearly. And because you see it, awareness, in the light of awareness, and if you're looking at what you may call dark, your own awareness of it, the light of your awareness will dissipate it. And it begins to dwindle like all the vampires you've seen in the movies melt from being exposed to the sun. Light. The sun. S-O-N. Light. That's powerful stuff right there. And you have to do nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. Except become aware of it. It starts the whole process. Hello, LaDonna. You're not late, dear. We're just kind of prepping things up before I actually get into the thick of it. I'm going to do some reading from The Divine Principle, my book. It's a little lengthy, but hang in there. What is the meaning of life? If God handed you a mission, what would that be? I ask Spirit the question. Why is alignment so difficult for most people? Spirit says, because most are still waging an ongoing war in their minds. That noisy battle between right and wrong, which has kept them rigidly locked in their victim position. Though you are now able to tune out much of your own mental static, know that most people have much more twisting of the dial to do before I, meaning Spirit, can come in loud and clear for them too. If one lives his or her whole life from a right or wrong point of view and uses past memories to handle present circumstances, the stillness and clarity necessary to make sound choices will never be available. Bob had just said that. Exactly. Bob got his intuitive hat on today. Bob says, hello, Bonnie. Bob said, I am currently learning to let go of all my prison-making choices. I just read from The Divine Principle. If one lives their whole life with a right and wrong point of view and uses past memories to handle present circumstances, the stillness and clarity necessary to make sound choices will never be available, it's because we got our hands on the bars. Not only are we in jail, we got our hands on the bars. You see an inmate clamping down on that which he thinks is solid and is an impenetrable wall, but yet it teases him because there's space that he can put his arm through. Ancient Chinese proverb. It's the space between the bars that holds the tiger. Take that in and apply that to what we're talking about right now. Bob talked about being in a mental jail and that we're our own warden. We got our hands on the bars because we want out. And we think out is the way out, but actually in is the way out. And it's really the space between the bars that holds the tiger. It's not the bars. You separate the bars far enough and the tiger can get out. So it's the space. It's the space. It's always about the internal space. Moving forward, Spirit continues. I'm not saying that the right position is either right or wrong. I am saying it can only result in one of those two possible outcomes. Ego keeps people strapped in the front car of their own emotional roller coaster on a ride that never ends, because just over every incline is another right or wrong scenario that launches them through those disorienting swoops and loops yet again. As long as people refuse to get off their judgment ride, they can never hope to plant their feet on the solid ground of peace. Concepts of right and wrong are taught by and learned from parents, society, and those who claim to be authorities on the subject of God's Word. But what if, the title of this presentation is, what does this all mean? What if God handed you a mission? What would that look like? Spirit says, what if the true meaning of life was neither this way nor that way? How on earth can someone come to understand another alternative? And I ask Spirit, through a teacher who embodies it? Spirit says, yes, I have sent many to the world to show you that there is a way that is neither right nor wrong. In a beautiful world, unconditional love would do the influencing, for it is the most effective way I know to create the peace that you seek, to find out what your mission is and the meaning of life. Those who have not heeded these teachers' examples are living in a right or wrong world, which is why they have such trouble agreeing about what is supposedly right or wrong. One way for you to get what I'm saying is by observing life partners who claim to love unconditionally, but who remain stuck in their conditional condition, arguing all the time. Another prime example is the strife that exists among many of the world's nations, each standing firm on, our idea is right and your idea is wrong. This attitude inevitably leads to arguments, wars, and continued separation, frustrating standoffs between those who would rather defend their own position than concede and compromise. Keith, you have tended to engage in this dynamic frequently, have you not? Am I right in saying that you have not achieved the effect that you were hoping for? And I say, yeah, you're right about both. But what about people who say that their right or wrong opinion is based on God's law? There is a door for the many who's going to watch this presentation, who this may apply to. It's not about changing your belief. It's about opening you up to a level beyond that belief, which holds an even greater truth. A belief is an idea. God is infinite. It's beyond idea. It's that which creates all ideas. Just be open. And I say to Spirit, but what about the people who say that their right or wrong opinion is based on God's law? Spirit says, what about them? You are going to come across people, especially some religious leaders, who support that opinion by saying God has determined what is right and wrong, and God is something to fear. It never ceases to amaze me when I hear fear and God in the same breath. The scripture that says, judge not, lest ye be judged, does not mean that I judge your wrongs, then punish you for your sins. It means that when you judge yourself for the poor decisions you have made in the past, and you judge others for the faults you see in your own self. God says, I am not like you in this regard. I have no past to cast judgment upon, for it takes all my time just to be the love necessary to sustain creation. My stance of unconditional love defines who I am. What defines the world is its present dilemma, figuring out how to catch the ultimate wave of universal law. Up until now, most of you have wiped out in all your attempts because you have not yet learned the laws that will let you hang 10 and master the ride all the way to Spirit. But now that I see your desire to change, all of you, I will begin to present them to you. I will place you atop my surfboard so that you can finally coast in and land on peaceful shore. I need some water. Welcome everyone. Hi Lynn. Hi Sella. Elmer, Bonnie, Dorothy. These might be repeat names, but I am so lost. Not in this room right now. Hello, Mary Lou. Justin, I'm curious to know about your new venture, bro. I want to support you in it. Moving forward, continuing with a few more excerpts from the Divine Principle. More about getting out of belief, as Bob said. Getting out of our own prison so we can find out what our mission that God hands us. Here's a mission, dear one. What do you think that would be? I'm not going to tell you what it is. Maybe he'll give you some secrets or a hint or a glimpse. That's the purpose of being here. We have to figure that out. What is the meaning of life? Spirit says, you can live by Spirit's guidance or by human rationale. You can live in trust or live with anxiety and desperation. You can choose universal knowledge or planetary ignorance. You can invite peace and love into your heart, or you can hold anger and fear in your gut. The duality that troubles you can end at any time because you have already evolved enough to realize how much judging yourself the way you sometimes do has blocked your path to wholeness, to get us out of that mental prison. Again, as Bob said, Bob, that was like right on time, bro. But it is not only you, Keith. Most of the world lives in judgment. There are individuals who cast their judgment upon groups, groups who cast judgment upon other groups, groups who cast judgment upon individuals, individuals who cast judgment upon other individuals, and individuals who cast judgment upon themselves. In all this judging, who is right? And I say, I wish I knew. Spirit says, judging this and judging that. If I were a judgmental God, as many claim, I would judge you for judging and do away with all of you. Then no one would be left to judge. And I say, why do we judge other people so much? Is it so we can feel better about ourselves, Spirit? Well, of course. But there are other reasons as well. Many judge because they feel they have to peg irresponsible behavior in others as a way to stay detached from their folly. This is just calling a spade a spade. And then there is a big one. People who think that they must judge someone else's way of life on Spirit's behalf. as if they know who I will save and who I will toss away like yesterday's newspaper. I find it quite amusing when people assume that I share their opinions. God says, if I were to use right and wrong as my means of judgment, I could find many reasons to preserve some of the so-called bad and discard some of the so-called good amongst you. Indeed, I could find enough reasons to discard the physical universe altogether and start over again. Just one tap on my delete button, and that would be that. But what would be the point to such a judgmental approach? What is the meaning of life? If God handed you a mission, what would that be? Spirit says, but what would be the point of such a judgmental approach? And I say, you're asking me? And Spirit says, yes, you. And I say, why? And Spirit says, why not you? And I say, but I thought that you were the one with all the answers. And Spirit says, another belief you have trapped yourself in, Keith. Answers to what? How short your memory is. Earlier I said there were no questions. Now I say there are no answers. How can there be? Question and answers are the same. Either both exist or both do not. God says, I live in the do not. You live in the do. And I say, you've got to be joking. Now that you mentioned it, knock, knock. Oh no, you're not going there, are you? Oh well, I'll bite. Who's there? Spirit says, nobody. And I said, what's your point? Perhaps there is no point. The meaning of life. What's the meaning of life? And I say, knock, knock to Spirit. And Spirit says, knock, knock. And I say, who's there? And he says, nobody. And I said, what's your point? And he says, perhaps there is no point. And that is what makes the joke so humorous. The divine dichotomy. The joke is on us. And I say, oh, I see what you mean. That's why you find it so amusing when people judge, because there is no point to it at all. Spirit says, bingo. And you said you did not want to play my game with me. And I said, oh, yes, I do. Let's continue. I see that you have gained some enlightenment from my attempt at humor, Keith. So now understand that if there is no knock knock, there can be no light bulb moment. And that is no joke. The point is to not take life so seriously, to let go and have a good time. To laugh even when the joke is on you like it is now. Only those who have no sense of humor have a hard time of getting life's joke. That is the meaning of life, is the meaning that you give it. Get it? The meaning of life is the meaning that you give it. There is nothing else. But I will come back to what I said at the beginning of the presentation, that in the there is no meaning of life, there is a truth, a very subtle, powerful meaning. We'll get back to that. So Spirit says, okay, as they say in rehearsal, one more time. Same joke, but this time, Keith, you started. I say, okay, knock, knock. Spirit says, who's there? I say, Keith. And he says, Keith who? And I went, and it said, confused. And I say, darn it, you got me again. Maybe and until you do get it, whenever that may be, I await your response to life's ultimate riddle. And I said, I think I've got one now. Spirit says, what? You actually think you may have an answer? Yet again, the joke is on you, Keith. The ultimate punchline is that there is no right response. None whatsoever. You must pay closer attention. As I just said, life is the meaning that you give it. Could this be one of those times when you might decide to laugh at yourself? Okay, I give up. What does all of this have to do with judgment? When you are not laughing, check yourself, because you may just be in judgment mode. We got a little sidetracked because I simply wanted to show you how you were judging, where the conversation was going, how you thought something was wrong with it and that needed to be fixed. That's one more window of wisdom you have opened up for me. So have you ever used judgment? I asked Spirit. I have never seen a flaw in anything. I see only perfection in what I have done, am doing, and will do. There is a fine line between judgment and creation. Those who dwell on the judgment side are seeing the world through their own imperfections and are keeping themselves separate in that prison from all that is already perfect. I do not create then judge. I use judgment while I create, so that there is no need to use it later. I do it right the first time, even in my creation of you. Beloveds, do you think I've created you so that I could one day judge your behavior and just thus judge you? How could I ever grant you your freedom if I had to spend my time judging all 8 billion plus of you? The process would be never ending, and I would be so stressed out that my spiritual breakdown would be inevitable. Sound familiar? And I say, it sure does. But as usual, I have another question. Is there such a thing as Judgment Day? Spirit says, yes, but it is not I who will be the judge. As I said before, it is you who have always and will always be. When your human death happens, you can expect to be shown your life from beginning to end. The question is, how do you judge yourself now? And how will you judge yourself then? And is there really a difference between the two? From the Divine Principle. So hello everyone out in YouTube land. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to leave me a comment in the message box. Welcome. So with all the reading I just did, it's something that Bob kicked off and started my dialogue rolling. And next thing you know, I begin to read from the Divine Principle about what is the meaning of life if we were handed a mission. How do we go about finding the answer to the meaning of life and that mission? I had no idea. I didn't set this up. I just grabbed some notes from the Divine Principle. In fact, whenever I come up with a theme that I'm going to do a presentation for on any particular night, I simply just open up the Divine Principle in a PDF document, and I use keywords, for example, meaning of life, and I read from it. And then I had no idea it was going to begin to talk about judgment. So next thing you know, now I understand why I was led to this simple title and subtitle. I'm going to be talking about judgment. Coincidentally, in alignment, serendipity, small miracle, Bob shows up and talks about he's learning how to release himself from the prison of the mind, from the prison of thought, the ones that serve no purpose whatsoever. Because those thoughts that we are unaware of keep us from hearing, one, like I just mentioned in the reading, there really is no meaning to life. There isn't. There really absolutely isn't. That's the way of the divine comedy. Life is just a simple play of divine consciousness. We're all on stage in a play. There are villains and there are heroes in this play. And when the play's over, everybody walks out on stage in front of the curtain in frivolity, and everybody claps. They clap for the heroes, and equally they clap for the villains. Right? Everybody gets applause. Nobody is judged. Well, Keith, this is, what about the people who do horrible things, people who killed Christ? And what about Hitler? Until we absolutely know the divine truth of what takes place by experiential knowledge of what happens on the other side, we are living in ignorance, and we're assuming and we're believing millions of years, billions and billions of years, as you sit in this virtual room right now, billions of years, the universe conspired to bring you to this spot. Not only here in this room, but to this spot in your life. Billions of years. You embodied billions of years of evolution, that you were born of the earth. Man was made out of the dust of the earth. You are made of the same star properties as the celestial bodies. You came from God. God basically broke a piece of himself and stuck it in a meat suit, and if you're lucky, you live for 80 years plus. And in order to find out, to become absolutely convinced that there really is no mission in life, there's no meaning to life, there's no mission, I have to do a damn thing. Life has no meaning whatsoever. Then we begin to lighten up within ourselves. Lighten up within ourselves. We become lighter. And we become freer. And the mind begins to become empty. The monkey, begins to be quiet. There's no more judgmental thoughts. The ones that we don't even know that we're thinking. And now you're living in peace. Peace is a state of mind. I have no thoughts consuming me. I am peaceful. Heaven is a state of being. Heaven is not a place. You can be in a place where everyone in the room is having a good time, but you. Vice versa. You can be in a room where everyone is just not enjoying themselves, but you. And so when we get out of that noisy judgment, yak, 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 the script is running in the background like, you know, I ask people often when I go to a department store like Walmart or grocery shopping, let's say Walmart, and there's bells that go on at the cashier constantly. Dong, dong, and it just keep going on. I even ask people who work, the cashiers, the clerks, do you hear that sound when you go to sleep at night? And they say, no, I've learned to tune it out. Doesn't mean that when they sleep at night, that the first week they started that job, that they've been hearing that bell go off. Maybe after the first month, it becomes a part of the process and they shove it down. It no longer is interesting, so, but doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And those thoughts we have, that we don't know we have no less effect in kicking you in your pants than if you were aware of that you were thinking them. So I'm going to go inside, as I said before, when I go into vessel mode, and my soul, your soul, our soul, that I have diligently worked on for years, to learn its dialect, to learn its dialogue, to learn its language, will probably come through. It's been coming through all night. And as I said before, it's not about me creating an, oh wow, he's doing this amazing feat. You're doing it right now, just sitting down, breathing your body. But I go through these motions. It feels natural to me to do so. It helps me to humble myself that is not in that space all the time. So you see all the body movements I do. All these things mean something. I'm humbling myself. And it opens up a space inside of me. So I get to let that grace come in and I get to feel it. This is why I do this ritual, this ceremony. But also to convey what it might look like for you as you do it. So, I'm going to see if something comes, I'd say rather up than through. Judgment is like the ice cream cone that you've dropped in the dirt and pick it up foolishly only to continue to eat it. Why would you ever do this? Why would you ever do this? It's because you still want something sweet. But that sweetness, that nectar, that ambrosia, that child's play ice cream, you want to see God? Give a child an ice cream cone. But dear ones, many of you have dropped yours in the dirt. And because you still yearn for that sweet nectar, God's grace, you will eat your way through the dirt if you have to, when I tell you it's not necessary whatsoever, nor does it work. You can never get the sand out of your mouth once you visit the beach. It takes quite a long time. But yet you yearn for that sweetness of the ice cream cone, metaphorically. Likewise, your judgment makes your sweet life that you have been given freely not so sweet. Judgment is not necessarily applied only to pointing finger at people and scoff and laugh. It's what you think is happening. And when I tell you, dear one, they are not. There is no meaning to life except the one that you give it. Even the ones that you are not aware that you are meaning. And what I mean through all this is, there is a space, a tiny space, infinitely tiny, but also infinitely vast, that the real meaning dwells and it lives within you, giving you life on this planet that really has no meaning whatsoever. But what is required of you to find the place of no meaning is to get out of what you think things are and mean. And in that infinite small space, but yet vast one, is the God particle. And in that particle is everything. Subtly yet powerfully, the Christ becomes born within you. Subtly yet powerfully, the Buddhic compassion becomes known inside of you. Subtly yet powerfully, the phoenix rises subtly yet powerfully. The lotus blossom begins to open. And now you're standing in absolute true meaning. Though we talk about there is no meaning, and yet there is meaning. Only the mind rid of judgment could ever understand this third component. As Keith read from the book The Divine Principle a little earlier, talked about getting out of judgment, left, right, right, wrong, good, bad, in, out, up, down. Now, these are two extremes, and spirit is that which gives rise to all of it. That is the third component. And in order to find true meaning and no meaning, the monkey has to go. And you will tap into something that is so deliciously powerful. You will look at your ice cream cone again and go, it's been purified. I could have sworn there was dirt and rocks and sand and shells in my sweetness. And you will realize it was just a simple play of divine consciousness, and that you were living in a very simple delusion for a short period of time, because you are now living in more of an expanded eternal space. All of the troubles you have had in your life simply become forgotten, as if they've never happened. And then your mind, correct thinking, balanced thinking, or basically thinking when you only want to will something forth, na, ya, the heart, will, power, infinite power in the heart, ya, na, what am I going to do with that infinite power? Deliberately using your thinking process to bring about something beautiful, getting rid of all the sand and dirt and rocks and shells and our sweetness in our ice cream cone. And Va is the backbone that carries it out. And when we get to a space of finding the meaning in no meaning, our ice cream cone is so good, it becomes divine. How is that ice cream cone, my friend? It's just divine. When you begin to meditate from this day forth, dear ones, you are asked to deliberately, here's something I have not spoken to you about before. In your meditation, in your prayer, see a very simple grain of sand on a beach, your favorite beach. Close your eyes and visit your favorite beach from a childhood experience or one that you visit and frequent now. Pick up one grain of sand on that entire beach and look at it. Look at it. And as you peripherally see the entire beach, you are steadfast focused on the granule of sand. And in your focus of a fixed point, peripherally, your awareness has to open up to be able to take in the rest of the beach, the divine ocean. Because of your fixed point. That is like finding the meaning, Yanava, in no meaning. Because of the single point, you will find the God molecule. It is the grain of sand. And every grain of sand on the beach will profess to you the same thing. So there's no point of picking up every grain to prove to yourself that it's part of the divine ocean. Is the drop separated from the ocean? One who lives in judgment would say, but I'm just this simple drop. This is what we call also humility, and that's a good thing. But there comes a time and a fixed point in your life, the one I'm sharing with you now when you go into meditation from this day forth, to find yourself on a beach when your childhood experiences are one that you frequent now. And look at it and become mesmerized, enamored, adore it, appreciate it. And in this grain, in this granule of sand, in this fixed point, in that space between meaning and no meaning, is where you will find absolute meaning. And when you mean these kinds of things, in your meditation and your intentions to get out of judgment, trying to figure out all the different grains of sand on the beach, that is an overwhelming, arduous task, dear ones. Put it down. Put down your pail, put down your shovel. Walk into the divine ocean. Drown in its grace. Stop thinking so much. It's very detrimental to you. Stop thinking so much. You can choose. But how? Simply by wanting to. You see, yet again, you have been shown you've made it difficult. Be at peace. Be at ease. Let go and have a good time. Leave people alone. Live and let people live. Stop poking fun. Stop doing things of an ill spirit, because it will come back in the form of a wave that will knock you down, only to swallow that mouthful of sand and drop in your ice cream cone, and to pick it up only to find yet again your sweet life, your sweetness has yet again become dirty and tainted. Be gentle. Get out of judgment. Get out of the trap of the mind. And your life will become ever sweeter. And the place that has no meaning will suddenly arise within you. And your life will be the meaning. This is why you are here. Dear one, what does it all mean? It means you. This is your mission. You are the mission. Carry it forth, and the world will forever illuminate one person at a time. A divine worldwide movement. And lights begin to illumine. Illuminate. Yanava, it is complete. I need a breath. Let me say hi to everyone. I am ready to take questions or statements. If you like. I hope I can get this right. Hello, Carl Laprus. Oh, I got that one right. Patrick, Melissa, Rajesh. He says, service to all universal brotherhood is need of the hour. I agree, bro. I would do it including birds and animals. Facebook love. Elwood, Renee, Elaine, Holly. Elaine says, yes, live and love, live and let live. LaDonna says, wow, that's heavy, Keith. Grain of sand, beach, ocean, tears. You got tears. Yeah. Come back in a wave. Leave people alone. Yeah, you know, hey, Kenneth Day, I don't know. I don't know where this comes from. It comes within me, obviously. And so that's why I do this, LaDonna. It brings such joy to me to find out where does the story that's woven come from. And again, this is not look at Keith. Oh, actually it is look at Keith. You know, if I want to be a fireman, I got to look at the fireman, watch what the fireman does, so I can be just like it. So not look at Keith in the sense that I'm better. I'm here as your brother, a sounding board to say, I'm doing this live feed because I have a blast. There's no meaning in what I do except that it brings me joy. And if this is an example that kicks the fire in other people's pants, I'll turn up the gas. There are people in my life who do the same thing. People that kick me in my pants that I look to equally. I'm on the same ride as everyone. We're all on the same ride. We need to get in the same boat and paddle all together so we can get there quicker. We have more manpower. So at this time, again, if you want to ask something or bring something forth, feel free to do so. Your soul is breathing your body. Your soul is hearing my voice. Your soul is the chair you're sitting on. LaDonna says, well, brother, you need to write that down. Thank you, LaDonna. Yeah, these will always be logged for future books, believe it or not. But I appreciate your absolute support in that. I have no notes. I just go inside and this comes through. And you all do that. We all do that. Whatever, doing your favorite thing, you might have learned a little bit of how to dance or go skiing or to do art. But if you could liken whatever it is you love doing after you learn what the rules of the game, the meaning of how to paint, or the meaning of how to play guitar, or whatever it is that gives your life meaning because you're happy doing it. Once you learn how to do art, you don't really per se consciously follow the rules anymore. You throw the book in the trash. You no longer need music theory or artistic theory. Now you express yourself from the soul because you become a conduit of knowing how to tap into yourself. That's exactly what is happening before you here with the work that I do. So we all do it. You paint a picture you never thought possible, just simply closing your eyes. You look at your canvas and you go, and something is birthed. Where in the hell do you think that comes from? Comes from heaven, the heaven within you. Elwood, I would be glad to send you a link, but when I sign off here in a few minutes, it will be live on my wall. Not live on my wall. The archive will be there. Annie says, brings me joy too. Elaine, I've been shortly catching glimpses of your videos. But it's always been at a time when I was, just passing by because I have to jet somewhere. So again, y'all, what is the meaning of life? What's the meaning of it all? God handed me a mission. What would that be? If you're just getting here, go back to the beginning, and the story that unfolds is quite beautiful. At least I think so. Fills me up inside. The meaning of life is not a task. It's not something you have to do. It's you. You are the meaning of life. You are life. And life is you. You separate yourself from the two, you don't exist. You unplug a light from the wall, the light goes out. You cannot unplug from your maker. In fact, it will never happen. You will never not exist. That's life. That is the meaning. That is the truth. That is the meaning and the meaningless. It's not a bunch of noise trying to give it meaning and forcing a square peg in a round hole. Well, this is what it means. But yeah, it somewhat wants to fit, but there's a little bitty edge that needs to be shaved off or worked with before it can actually fit in the slot, fit in the space, fit in the space, fit in the space. The meaning of life is you. There is no other meaning. You are the meaning. How big do you want to make your meaning mean? How great do you want to mean it? And mean it when you do it. Yanava. When you meditate, you can imagine that there is a rod, a lightning rod, a light rod, your backbone even. Light comes in, light grounds itself to the earth. Visualize this. It is ever so powerful. And make it move and be planted in it. Then your thoughts will follow. Your feelings will fill you up inside. And you will bring happiness and joy to everyone you ever meet. That is the meaning of your life. It's you. And the greatest payoff of all that, meaningful stuff, is that you will experience your Creator, and peace will fill your mind, and bliss will fill your heart, and in heaven on earth you will be. I love you. Peace, love, and light.